As the years with Dragon's Rising has gone by, there is a more and more compelling case to prove that LEGO might actually hate the new Ninja team. This is based mostly off of what we've actually seen, and I think there's a genuinely compelling argument for why it is the case. The Ninjago sets are potentially the second biggest aspect of the entirety of the Ninjago franchise, only being succeeded by the show itself. It is one of the most popular discussion points in many of Ninjago's fandom's forums, but the thing is, like I said, it feels like there is a noticeable change in attitude when it does come to these newer characters. So for today, what I'm going to do is take you on a journey of the Dragon's Rising sets that we have received over the course of time, show how I believe this is the case and why the new ninja seem to be falling by the wayside, and give a potential reason as to why this is actually the case. Try and provide some sort of justification for why this is occurring, because I do think there is a fairly easy way to explain away what's truly going on here. But let me actually show you instead of just telling you. So let me not waste any more of your time, and let's talk about why LEGO may hate the new ninja. We're gonna bring our minds back to the beginning of Dragon's Rising itself. The initial wave of Dragon's Rising sets were releasing, and it came with a whole new array of ninja minifigures. Of course, coming with the merge suits for our OG team, but in terms of the actual new ninja themselves, they were coming with their own respective outfits as well. We had Sora with her new outfit, which was absolutely amazing looking, and Aaron's one as well. We also then got the likes of Wildfire's initial Season 1 outfit, and variations of Aaron and Sora to do with it. We got the casual urban versions of their outfits, and we also got slight variants and also ones that were within pickup minifigures within LEGO stores themselves. So these new ninja were actually receiving just as love, if not more, than the OG 6 when it did come to this wave. They were heavily featured within this wave, even having dedicated sets to themselves as well. And this was, by all accounts, fantastic. This was an amazing time and definitely was a great wave of minifigures to actually get your hands on, and still is to this very day. But the thing is that as those Season 1 waves were releasing, we realized that certain sets, like always, eventually did ended up shelf warming. And those did include sets where the main features were these new ninjas. I remember the Sora transforming mech heavily shelf warming within the UK, and also the Wildfire Dragon being another big contender for that, which may have actually been an unfortunate indicator on what was going to come. The thing is that LEGO sets are made quite far in advance. They need multiple years to actually get to the shelves themselves. But even as soon as Season 2 sets, we realized that we were immediately seeing an immediate shift, where all of the ninja were still receiving these brand new looking outfits, aka the climber suits and also the mech suits. We realized that Sora, Aaron, Wildfire all began to almost fall behind. They were not really acknowledged within these waves. The most variety that we actually got was that Sora got an accurate hairpiece, but it was still just put on the same Season 1 minifigure, which was just a massive shame. Sora basically got no change when it did come to Season 2 Part 1 sets. Aaron also had something that will become a major theme moving forward as well. He stuck with basically his original outfit, but they gave him the mech mask as some form of variety. It showed that they were gonna put in minimal effort, but wasn't really something that was overly worth it to most Ninjago fans. And again, you can see that reflected in the fact that the sets that were heavily tailored towards these new ninja were actually also still shelf warming, like the Aaron buggy. But maybe this was just an anomaly within the system, because actually after this point in the Season 2 Part 2 sets, it seemed to be that things were recovering. Sora and Aaron were getting a new outfit, and so was Wildfire. It seemed to be that all of them were getting nice refreshing updates, and it was definitely really good to see. And the outfits that they did get were amazing looking. It was no secret that these were some of the best offerings that we did actually get. So I remember distinctly at the time being much more happy, because I did even have these concerns at the time. But seems to be everything went by the wayside. So everything was good, right? Well, turns out no, because after this point in time, this is where the issue really did come to head. Because after the point of Season 2 Part 2 sets happened, we got into the Season 3 Part 1 sets. Now, there were some new additions. Aaron did get a new outfit, the Dark Aaron suit, and that was really cool looking. But Sora went right back to her Season 1 outfit, and they tried to justify it by giving her a variant of the Storm mask. It really didn't function at all, and it's the same vein as Mech Aaron, which is trying to give some sort of minimal threshold to actually justify buying a new minifigure. It was just a massive shame and definitely didn't come across correctly. And it got even worse by the fact that Wildfire was still in the Season 2 Part 2 outfit, but was only actually getting worse, because where they actually had her keep the outfit, they downgraded it by actually removing the shoulder pads, which isn't canon to the show. This brought all of those concerns just straight back to the top of their mind. They were showing that they just weren't really encouraged to make these new outfits for the ninja respectively. It seems to be that these new ninja were basically just getting the scraps when it did come to outfits. They got these small changes and they had to have an update if it mattered to the story, but that was basically it. And what made it worse is that it just simply got worse from there, because we walked into Season 3 Part 2 sets and it just continued to happen. Sora did get an update in this wave being the Spectral suit, and I'm very glad at that because it's a fantastic looking suit, regardless of how she got it within the show. Aaron did keep the Dark Aaron outfit, but that is fine because it was still what he wore during the story itself. But honestly, could have done with an update, but that's just me. He could have been really cool with a Spectral suit, but you know. But then Wildfire was still continuing with having that Season 2 outfit, again without pieces on her minifigure itself. Again, just becoming a massive shame, because the OG ninja were all receiving these new amazing suits, but the new ninja again just really did feel like they were collecting scraps here. It just came across really strange, and I just didn't really understand why they were actually doing this. Because if you look at it from a story perspective, why is it that Sora is still matching with the ninja and Aaron isn't? It just didn't really work in my mind. But with that, it did bring us on to present day Season 4 set, and this is where the obvious issues did come apparent. Season 4 Part 1 introduced us to, well, basically the same problem but just completely worse. In Season 4 Part 1, we got a new version of the Aaron suit, which was pretty good looking, may I say. Pretty nice looking, and I'm glad that he did get another update from the Dark Aaron suit. But the thing is that Wildfire continued on her journey of not having any form of update. I may be wrong when I say this, I never checked this for the video unfortunately, but I'm even wondering if Wildfire was even in Season 4 Part 1 sets. But that's just me. And then Sora basically got the Spectral suit, but in the same vein as Wildfire, just had pieces removed from her. She didn't get a single variation of her Spectral suit with the shoulder armor in Season 4 Part 1 sets, and she was not in small sets by any account. It was honestly quite disgusting to see because again, they've taken away pivotal aspects of these outfits for basically no reason. It just was really frustrating, and it just doesn't make any sense as to why they would do it, because it's just not even desirable at this point. Where initially they actually had minimum adjustments to make it somewhat valuable, they just really did stop here, and it just didn't really make any sort of sense. But then that brought us through to, as of the time of filming, the newest wave of sets that we've actually had. The Season 4 Part 2 sets are just continuing on with this major issue. Sora again is continuing to have the Spectral design but with no armor, because why not? Aaron is keeping the blue outfit he got in Season 4 Part 1, which is just a bit of a shame. It would have been cool for him to match up more with the ninja, and Wildfire actually did get a new minifigure, but that was only because it seems to be that they're trying to justify this much larger set where she is actually the main price point when it does come to the reason as to own the set. This transforming Mech Dragon probably would not have sold just quite simply if they never updated her design. It felt like one out of necessity over actually doing it because they simply wanted to. That Wildfire minifigure might genuinely become the last Wildfire we actually get within the course of Dragon's Rising sets, and whatever comes after Dragon's Rising, if she's still included in these sets, it may be the last minifigure we ever get of her, which is just a massive shame, which means over the course of so many years, we've only actually gotten 3 variants of her, and considering that by all accounts she's a main character, that just feels extremely lackluster. That feels like we just didn't really get enough to really chew on when it did come to Wildfire, and that applies to every other version of the new ninja minifigures. I haven't even brought up Frack yet. He has only had one minifigure over his course of time, when he's had multiple designs we've actually seen over the course of the years itself, and designs that a lot of people really do want. But again, it just seems like they're just not willing to actually invest in these designs. Which leads to the ultimate question, Why is it that they are not investing in these designs for the new ninja? Why is it that they're not actually putting these designs into the sets themselves? Now, you could claim that it's for budgetary reasons, and I do understand that point to an extent, but the thing is that the Dragon's Rising sets have shown that they are willing to do other designs that don't matter as much as these ones. For example, in the Season 3 set, we have had multiple non-canon variants of minifigures that could have been replaced by actual canon ones. In the Season 3 Part 1 set, we could have actually had the Frack minifigure from Season 3 Part 1. In Season 2 Part 2, we could have had the Wolf Clan variant of Frack, but instead we actually got a non-canon Kai. In Season 3 Part 2, we could have not have had the Spectral Zane, and we could have had another one of the ninjas' designs respectively. It is a simple case of, there are just multiple times where it feels like we should get these designs, but we simply don't. And it doesn't feel like we can excuse it as budgeting. Which leads us to the only other scenario as to why they may not actually be doing it, which is quite simply a case of the new ninja aren't profitable. The thing is that LEGO will always have their decisions dictated by how much money they can get out of it, and the OG ninja sell very well, in particular characters like Lloyd and Kai. But the thing is that these new ninja seemingly aren't selling well. Note how I brought up all of these shelf warming sets that are revolving around these new ninja. It is showing that these designs may not be worth it because, simply put, they're not actually getting off of the shelves. And that can be even more reflected when you look at the new ninja in their sets in comparison to who they're with. Sora is always with Lloyd, Aaron is always with Kai, and Frack is always with either Cole or Kai as well, and Wildfire just kind of exists in these giant sets as well. It seems to be that they're just putting them in with the more profitable ninja because that's going to be how they get their money back. It's an extremely bleak way of looking at it, but the thing is that it just makes the most sense when you look at the options that we do have. It seems to be, by all accounts, the new ninja just aren't simply profitable when it does come to LEGO, which is extremely concerning, because if they aren't profitable, does that mean that they will remain in the show as well? That is a giant question that we might actually have answered soon, depending on what happens with Dragon's Rising. But the thing is that regardless, it is just a massive shame. It would be really cool to see the ninja, or the new ninja specifically, just continue on and actually match up with the ninja in terms of their design. Give Aaron a spectral suit, or give all of the new ninja dragon suits. The thing is that why is it that they don't get Dracona's form? It makes absolutely no sense. Oh wait, they probably wouldn't make their money back from it. Like I said, it's a really awful way of looking at it, but I just don't really see any other way you could explain why it seems to be that they hate these characters, and why they're not justifying actually giving them new designs. It is a massive shame, but honestly, I don't know what the other answer could truly be. And that is now why I want to pass it off to you guys. Are you buying sets that revolve around the new ninja? Are you wanting more designs for the new ninja? Are they characters that you actively seek out? I would love to know, because that would honestly be kind of proof of points. If the comments are reflecting a case of people not really bothering with these Sora-centric sets or these Aaron sets, it would show that the characters just simply aren't doing what LEGO probably intended for them to do, which is bring in a whole load of new money. But the thing is that I could be wrong, and that is why I want to know what you guys think. Because on an overall, I really do hope that LEGO gives these new ninja minifigures a lot more love. I hope they actually have them complete. I hope they have new designs. I hope they actually have something that makes people want to purchase them. Because as it stands, it feels like they're really just not bothering with them at the minute. And it's just really sad to see. But thank you very much for watching the video, and I do hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider subscribing. I love discussing Ninjago with more people. And if you do want to support the channel any further, which you do not have to, you could always become a channel member and join the legends that we see on screen. Each of your support means the absolute world to me, and I truly cannot thank you enough. But like I said, that's about it for today, and take care. Okay,